Hello and welcome to another episode of the Best Damn Marketing Podcast, where we believe messaging plus marketing equals money. Knowing what to say and how to say it is the best way to build your business. I'm your host, Hunter Sharneski, and joining the line with me today is my good friend, Mitch Alverson. Mitch, how you doing?
Hey, Hunter, it's good to be with you today, man. I'm doing well. I'm glad to be here.
Of course, glad to have you because it's not often that we speak to somebody that can speak on a subject matter at a masterclass level. And this, I definitely view Mitch as the subject matter expert, the SME on all things website. So when it comes to websites, Mitch, especially in the strength and conditioning industry, right, where there's so much presence on social media, everybody's looking to get the grow their following on Instagram, right? It's the TikTok is still the wild west out there, right? Even Facebook advertisements are still booming for the fitness strength and conditioning industry. It begs the question for most entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and as well as the brick and mortar gym owners, do I even need a website? Tell us why or why not.
Yeah, that's a great question. And there is no question, I think, and some people have done it, right? They have built a good, viable business just with social media. But at the end of the day, I think the answer is you absolutely need a website. And there's a few reasons for that, really, is first of all, I think it establishes credibility with the folks who are going to follow you. And I know it's not a general thing for everybody, but most people, and especially if it's a situation where you're coaching young athletes, mom and dad, they're going to look you up. Mm-hmm. It's not enough just to have a great Instagram or TikTok. Mom and dad are going to look you up. They're going to go see the website and see, do you have Google My Business and do you have reviews? And so having one is important. Having a great one is even more important. So that's the first thing I think is that, it establishes credibility. The second thing it does, and I think we'll talk a little bit more about this, but having a great website can facilitate, your online selling system. And the reason I say that, emphasize the word system, is because if you're a busy gym owner, you need a very simple way that somebody could come to your website and give you money with ease, right? I mean, you don't want to be keeping up with Venmo, Cash App, this, that. I mean, you need a system that you can actually put in place to help you run your business. So those are two big reasons I think you absolutely need a great website that people can go to and see who you are and what it is that you do for them.
Yeah, and in regards to the website, so if somebody needs one, right, and you talked about it being legitimate, because it being very much so legitimizing quality of your business, right? Would you say, Mitch, that having it be aesthetically pleasing, like it has to look great, really like it has to pop off the screen, do you think that helps with the credibility as you spoke to?
Absolutely. So, making it look great. Great is a subjective term. I mean, it should represent your brand. So, if you're running a gym that's a stripped down, minimalistic, hardcore gym, then your website should kind of reflect that. If you're running something that's targeted towards women, and then the website should probably be a little more on the feminine side. Mm-hmm. And so I think that you can absolutely ruin your credibility, honestly, with a really crappy looking website, or if you've got an old one. Maybe you've got one and it was built in 2004 and it hasn't really been updated. It can really affect how people perceive, what you're putting out.
Yeah, I just spoke to a gym owner last week, and we had talked about some of the aesthetic qualities or lack thereof on his website. And when it just came up organically, he said that I haven't even touched it in 2 years. Well, it certainly looked like that, right? I mean, it's from the Stone Age. And, another thing that was wrong with it, Mitch, is there was mixed messaging all over the place. Like
Mm-hmm.
in the name, underneath the name, the clarifying text of the brand, it talked about sports performance, right?
Mm.
But then underneath the header, and we'll get into this at some point, I'm sure, underneath the header, it talked about an 8-week fitness challenge. Well,
Mm.
you know, in my industry, fitness versus sports performance are two completely different things, right?
Yeah.
When somebody sees sports performance, they think athlete, but when they see the word fitness, they think adult, general population, right? Booty pumps,
Yep.
things like that, boot
Yep.
camps, all that good stuff. So do you talk about the message on the website and, you know, why clarity really will win the day?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that you and I are going to probably do uh, another episode on really dedicating it just to the words that are on the page. But I think it when we talk about sort of the fundamentals, this is absolutely one of them. Like what you do, it must be clear, right? I think we call it the grunt test.
Mm-hmm.
And does it pass the grunt test? So if somebody were to land on your web page within 5 seconds, could they, the grunt test is like the Geico dinosaur man. Can he tell us within 5 seconds what it is how you help them survive and thrive?
Yeah.
So yeah, if you've got mixed messaging, then at the last thing we want to do is confuse the person that's coming to the website. And so we want to make it super simple. If it's to your point, if it's a performance gym that we're running, then let's focus on that. The other things, if it's here's what I wouldn't try to do is try to mix offers on the same page. So if I've got a certain boot camp, to your point, that that we're running, that may be something that we put on its own landing page. But on our home website, it should really just be super clear as to what it is that our niche or the thing that we're doing to help people survive and thrive.
Yeah, it's sort of funny, ironically, right? They come to us if you have a fitness gym, right? They come to us because they probably want to burn calories, right, in some way, shape, or form, right, to get more fit.
Yep.
But they don't want to burn calories trying to figure it out what exactly it is you do, right? So
Yeah.
they're gonna. I mean, what do you and I always say, Mitch? Right? People will run away from confusion and cleverness, and they'll run towards clarity. Right.
That's exactly right. So you bring up a great point in that not a lot of people understand this or know this, but what's really going on in our brain is constantly making decisions on what we should or should not give our attention to. And if your messaging is clear, then subconsciously, or I'm sorry, if your message is unclear, subconsciously your users, your potential clients' brains are saying to them, get away, go to the next thing. This is not helping us survive and thrive. At a primitive level, our brains are doing that all day long.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the thing. So how does that translate to websites? Well, we have to be clear. We absolutely have to be crystal clear as to what it is that we do. And I would say this too, err on the side of clarity.
Mm-hmm.
Don't, and I think we're going to get into this later, but don't try to be, cute and clever. You can be sometimes, right? But for the most part, be clear.
And you have to, especially in this industry, the strength conditioning industry, Mitch, and I'm sure you would agree. You've got to leave the training jargon at the door. You've got to leave the insider language at the door, right? Because there are people in this industry, coaches in this industry, who are really smart,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to put those phrases on their website that make them sound really smart, and it'll result in exactly zero sales, right? But then these are the same coaches who are jaded toward the personal trainer at LA Fitness who's killing it financially. And why is that?
Yeah.
Because that trainer at LA Fitness, although he may not know as much as you, he is using words and language that the client and standing in front of him can understand. He's saying words like core instead of internal and external obliques. He's saying things like fitness instead of increase your work capacity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's a really, really important piece to talk about, even briefly, because we'll talk about what the exact words on the website need to say, but all that good stuff. And there's something that I've said for a while now. It isn't the coaches or the coaches who do the best in the marketplace or the coaches who serve the most people, who train the most athletes aren't necessarily the best coaches. It's the coaches who train the most athletes are those who the athletes, the general population, their clients can understand the fastest.
Yeah, that's 100% true. It's not always that translates across, training to products to services. The person with the best product doesn't always win. It's the person who has the most clear description of their product that will actually win. Yeah, you're 100% right. And I call this the curse of knowledge. I didn't come up with that. Somebody else came up with that. But if you can imagine a scale of 0 to 10, and the folks that you're talking about, they are experts in their field. They know all there is to know about training the human body, and they're over here at a 10. They probably sit between an 8 and a 10 in what they can say, how they can talk about what they do. But their clients and their clients' parents, if we're talking about youth athletes, they honestly sit at a 1, a 2, or a 3. Some of them are in the middle, but most of them are at a 1, a 2, and 3. So what we have to do with the words that we put on our website is bring it way back down, bring it back to a 2 or a 3. And so, yeah, if you really use big industry jargon, you're going to wind up confusing people, and they're not going to know what you mean.
Yeah, and that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people in this industry for sure. But
yeah,
if you want your business to grow, if you want to go from having a gym to building a business, that's a shift that you need to make for sure. So we've talked about, yes, you need a website. Yes, it needs to look great. It definitely needs to be clear, right? And what should the goal of a website be, Mitch? Is there more than one?
Well, that's a really good question. So a lot of times I'll talk about a website in a couple of different ways. It should be the thing that can be selling for you 24 hours a day. I mean, it's always on. The internet is always on. Google is always on. So if we set it up right, it should be able to work for you while you sleep. And so a couple things I think there, and since we're kind of in the fundamentals, the very fundamental thing that I think folks should have is, a way to get an email address. Okay, so just think of it like this: nobody's just going to give it to you, okay? Because people they get hundreds, if not some people get thousands of emails every day, and so they're not just going to give it to you. So we want to give them something, of value in exchange for that email address, because that email address is worth a lot, right? Because if they've wound up on your website, they were clearly looking for, something you offer, right? So if we can get that email address before they leave, now we have a way to communicate with them directly, and I would say email is not going to go away. It's going to be around for, well, it's probably as long as we're alive, but get that email address. You got to be able to get it. And the way to get it is to offer something of value. So that's what I would say there is, at the very least, you need a way to get an email address. Now, there's a few other things, right? Obviously, you want it to be clear as to how they could get a hold of you. Either if it's a contact us or schedule a call, something like that, where they can actually follow through and get a hold of you to hopefully facilitate new business for you.
Yeah, and I think having that clear call to action is another thing that's just maybe innocently ignored. And a lot of the coaches who have websites or business owners, brick and mortar gym owners, right?
Sure.
They fail to put that what we call cash registers all over the place, right? Calling out, book a call, get training, right? So yeah, I think Mitch brings up two great points. Give the consumer something or an opportunity to buy now with the clear cut call to actions, or right, or I would say both, and give them an opportunity to get to know you first, right? It's kind of like dating, right? You wouldn't go up to somebody in the street and say, "Hey, will you marry me?" Like, that would be creepy and weird, right? They got to get to know you first. And when Mitch is saying offer them something of free value, that's you saying, "Hey, would you like to go on a few dates first?" And then they'll be curious, right? And then over that, you can begin to enlighten them, before they actually commit, just like a relationship, right? So
Yeah.
I thank you for bringing up those points, Mitch. Well, I'm sure one question that people are asking is, okay, well, if I need a website, and we're touching on all these different points that Mitch is talking about, where do I go with it? Where is the place for it? What does hosting look like? Right? You're the expert. Enlighten us.
Sure. Well, hosting seems, if you're going to have one, you've got to have hosting. Um, and so this can be a real, what's the word? A real pain in the butt. It can be for people. But here's the one thing I would say is because a lot of folks just don't know. They think, they see advertising for GoDaddy. They go there, they get a domain, and they purchase hosting from GoDaddy, and that has worked for a lot of people. And I don't want to throw darts at those guys, but I'll tell you this: cheap hosting in the end will wind up biting you in the butt. And it's a big reason why a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't either want a website, I don't want to mess with the website." It's because there's some technical stuff that if you had a really good host, you wouldn't necessarily have to worry about. And going with the guys that offer, hosting for, $4 or $5 a month, I think, in the end, Hunter, it really causes problems. I was just texting with a past client last night. She texted me after hours and said, "Hey, my website's down. I'm on the phone with HostGator and I don't know what to do." And I'm telling you, I hear about those things all the time. And so here's what I would say to that: find good hosting. And where do you find it? So a couple places I like that I use for myself and my clients. Number one is Flywheel. It's managed hosting, and it's costs a little bit more money, but it's good for people who are not super technical, which is most of us. And it just helps it work, right? So that's one of the things I would say. Go with a decent host so that you don't have to mess with a bunch of technical stuff that's going to cause you a bunch of headaches, because that's not what you want. You want to run your business. You want to get, teach people and help people with their lives as it relates to fitness or strength training or whatever. You don't want to jack with websites. So picking a great host like Flywheel, WP Engine, those are some guys that are really good that will help make the process a lot less technical and painful for the user.
Yeah, and I think it's, drawing the parallels between what we do and what you do, Mitch, is it's sort of like, the question, do you want McDonald's or do you want steak, right? It is very much so a get what you pay for, right? The website in a lot of ways is like your body, right? What you put in, you're going to get out, right? I'm a sprinter.
Yep.
Would I run more efficiently on McDonald's or a filet mignon? I mean, the answer is the latter every single time.
Yeah.
Is Flywheel, or in some of these other things, some of these higher investment options, is that the filet mignon compared to HostGator or GoDaddy that's like, McDonald's or Burger King?
Yeah, it really is. And not to get into the weeds and things, but there's little things that are included. One is a CDN, which stands for Content Distribution Network, which speeds things up, which means, it puts little copies of your website all over the internet, so that wherever the person that's trying to access your website, they get the one that's closest to them. And so it really speeds things up. The other is the one that causes so many headaches for people is the SSL. And the SSL is the little padlock up in the top left-hand corner of the browser where the domain URL goes. And basically what that thing is it tells Google and the rest of the world, hey, this site is secure. Well, getting that SSL certificate installed with some of the other guys is a real pain in the neck. And you have to do it. You have to renew it every year. There's just all kinds of stuff. Well, with better sort of managed hosting, you don't have to worry about that stuff.
Yeah.
And one more quick one I think that really adds value is the fact that you've got 24/7 support, literally a chat with humans that's managed 24/7. So during the day, you're probably going to get someone in the US. During the evening, you're going to get someone who's in Australia or the UK. And so it's it's just all kinds of things that are better really for a few more bucks a month. So that's what I would say to that.
Okay. And last question, Mitch, because I know your time is valuable. Then I'm sure what gym owners are wondering now is like, okay, so once I get it all taken care of and I got it up and running, how do I continue to take care of it? Right? How do I make sure that my website is staying in good shape, so to speak?
Sure. Yeah. So a couple things there. What we offer for our clients is different levels of packages, right? Where we take care of it. We do all that stuff for them. So a good website that's built on WordPress, it runs off of plugins and a theme and things like that. And so those things have to continue to stay updated. It's just like the apps on your phone. You have to either you put that on auto update and it just updates while you sleep, or at some point you have to go in and tell it, update my apps. Well, it's the same with your website. And if you don't, it will break. And so that's what has to happen. Somebody's got to keep up with the plugins and the themes that actually run your website. And so you can do that. It's not a hard thing to do, but it does take time to go in, update them, and then make sure everything's working the way it should be working. But a good managed host will do a lot of that stuff for you. And that's what we do for our clients. We make sure everything's running the way it should be, that the site is secure, and they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, time is something that most coaches and business owners like to spend working on the business or coaching athletes, not tending to their website, which is why Mitch takes care of my website for me, phoenixmarketingsystems.com. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Mitch is constantly updating it, gives me progress reports every month, and it saves me oodles and oodles of time, just as he alluded to there. Mitch, I want to thank you for coming on. If you guys listening have any questions about, hey, I need a website, or hey, maybe my words aren't quite right. Hey, am I being clear enough? Right? Then go ahead and reach out. You can send me an email at hunter@phoenixmarketingsystems.com. I will put the contact information for Mitch there as well. For those listening, Mitch, how would people follow you and what because you're always spitting knowledge on LinkedIn and all that good stuff. So where would my listeners find you, get in touch with you, listen to all your wisdom, all that good stuff?
Sure. Yep. So the website where you can come check us out is b3advisors.org. So it's the letter B, the number 3, advisors.org. And then on LinkedIn, you can just find me. It's Mitch Alverson or Mitchell. I can't remember if full name is Mitchell Alverson, but if you just look me up, I'm there.
Beautiful. And there's a handsome picture of him smiling, doing what he loves as his handle on next to his handle there. So thanks a lot, Mitch. Mitch will be back next week, and we're going to dive deeper into the weeds on all things websites for gym owner. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Best Damn Marketing Podcast, where we believe messaging plus marketing equals money. Knowing what to say and how to say it is the best way to grow your gym.